Let's go UW. Hey, Moats, what is your opinion on the proposed concussion protocol? Is there a new one?
Yeah, the new one was if you're displaying any forms of loss of your gross motor skills or like if you're stumbling or if you look cloudy or anything like that, they're gonna pull you immediately. Yeah, that was, and they agreed upon it. Yeah, and that's why I was.
This is right after the Tua thing.
Yeah, it was literally they were trying to have it confirmed for last Sunday actually. Yeah, that's definitely like the NFL and the NFLPA agreed upon that. If you're showing any signs of a wobble, any signs of I'm cloudy, they're going to get you and they're taking you out. Like period. Yeah, and that was
That's what they did with Tua, right?
No, because
they took him out. No, but they put him back in.
I'm talking on Sunday. Yeah, the Sunday game they took him out, but it was clear as day, even then, that he was concussed. He was stumbling all over the field, stacking like he was drunk. Like it looked bad, and they still was like, we'll entertain putting him back in. Ultimately, did. Now the proposal that they were agreeing upon was if you're wobbling in any way, shape, or form, or you looking like you shaking your head, you are done. They're taking you. You're not going back out there.
This might come off as a stupid question, but how much do you think?
And no question is a stupid question either.
No.
I just want to throw it out there, bro.
No, I mean it's gonna come off as very obvious, but at the same time, I don't know because it goes back to like even what Mike McDaniel said. It's like saying like he got cleared. It's like what do you want me to tell you? But what I'm saying is, how much correlation do you think that first one was? Which game was it?
It was Sunday. Game? It was the
Dolphins-Bills game. That first one where Tua was stumbling.
Yes.
How much correlation was that hit to the one that came against the Bengals on Thursday Night Football?
To me, don't think correlation in the sense of the hits being similar, but think correlation in the sense of compound head injuries. When you have your first concussion, the second one comes back faster. And then it's usually more intense. It's usually a lot worse, and they just get worse and worse and worse.
Remember, so that explains the hands being all crossed up.
Think about
shit.
Ladarius Green. You remember when he came here, we talked about how he couldn't get on the field and the concussion stuff like that. And he really had to break it down to us and how his progression went from I was here, then it was here, then it started happening frequently. Then it was to the point I couldn't sit in my house with my lights on, like to that extent. Kevin Cobb, another guy, former quarterback, right, played with him. Another dude talked about that progression of how those concussions would start to compound. So regardless of how vicious the hit was, because the hit in Cincy wasn't necessarily vicious, but the context of it being Sunday, and we clearly see you with head trauma because your head slammed on the ground, and it was the back of it, which anybody that's played football knows that's one of the things that usually lead to concussions. That motion right there, you hitting the back of your head, uncontrolled. So when you compound that, where we already can see you have one, and whoever y'all say is back and jaw you want, that's what the dude got fired. It's like, if you can't tell us a concussion, you don't need to be anywhere around athletes, period. So you compound that with 4 days later on Thursday night, you hit your head again, and that's when you see him go full lock up, the fencing position and all that stuff. But that's the biggest reason, both of those things in the sense of if they never brought him back out there on Sunday, he probably never has that situation happen on Thursday. He probably doesn't even play on Thursday because he'll be in the protocol and you're not clearing it that quick. But we understand in that context, they wanted him back out there. They were going to do and say whatever, which was clearly shown. And that's why they took necessarily actions afterwards from the NFL and the NFLPA. Think about, man, NFL and NFLPA don't never agree on anything. And they agree on that within like a day. Because it's to that point where it's like, man, those type of things can't happen.
It's like obvious.
Those type of things can't happen. And when it starts looking like you're making a decision because your team is playing well and this is your star player, that can't happen because now you're telling me that because this guy's a productive player, you don't care about his long-term health. And that's the disconnect when we're talking about the players and in the games and how competitive it gets and with these staffs and stuff like that. And that's why you even brought in the independent neurologist because it was like, take that pressure off of the coach, take that pressure off of the player. But now we're even seeing in this instance that not all of these independent neurologists are actually independent. You know?
Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking. I don't think McDaniel was
right. I don't
thinking
fault him in that
hey,
element.
I'm putting Tua's health at risk here. He's probably he cleared him. Like if he cleared him, who am I to say I can't put him out?
And for the people that are gonna say, well, hey man, the same way I could see he was concussed, McDaniel's because he was concussed. No. On TV, you can see that they'll play the replay 1,000 times. You can see it from every angle. When you're on that field, it happens like this. So if you weren't looking at him when he was getting up and staggered before everybody rode him to the sideline, you didn't see that. So if you're McDaniel, which as a coach and some of the players, as soon as the play is over, you know what you're thinking? Next play. What's the situation here? Because you got 30 seconds. So he could have easily not seen that. I blame the medical staff. That's the one for me. But I'm glad that they took the right actions and fired the people that need to get fired. And it's like, all right, as long as you did that, cool. Hold them accountable because they're the ones. McDaniel, he's the coach. He's not paying attention to who's hurt, how severe they're hurt. Is he limping? What does he look like? Because he's got a game he's worried about. But it's your staff underneath you. It's your training staff, which your job is to do what? Make sure these guys are healthy. Make sure these guys are safe and not going to hurt themselves. And that's why they got.
Yeah. Okay. We got
shout out to that question though, man. Shout out to Let's Go UW.
One more super chat, and I guess we can
go to the preview.
Yeah. Let's go
UW.
UW.
6:32, so it's perfect. Let's
go.
Says
they're discussing extending the minimum time to sit out for a concussion.
I did not see that full part either.
Wow.
Yeah, I did not see that part.
So no, run it back the following week after you get a concussion then. So Minka would have been playing last week.
This is the thing, man. And this is the big dilemma every time when it comes to player health and safety. What's more important, player health and safety, or your star players being on the field? That's what it boils down to. Because we can take these situations, these protocols, and they're great in that context, but when it starts to mess with your favorite quarterback, your favorite receiver, your favorite pass rusher, playoff games, that's where the disconnect happens. And that's why you notice even when COVID was as big as it was, and remember the NFL, at first they had their rules set in stone. You had to sit. And then we was getting closer to postseason. The guys star players started getting COVID. What they started doing? Oh, no, you ain't got to sit out now. No. We're not going to test you either.
I just know there were no star players sitting out. Yes, I can't remember how they pulled it off.
They started doing that. It was like, really? And then literally, it's like, nope, as long as you test it, we're good. All right, we ain't going to touch you no more. You're good. Like, that's the thing. So when we talk player health and safety, and this is the argument as players we always talk about. It's like, yo, you tell us you care about us, but we don't truly believe you care about us. Because we know your bottom line is more important than us because we're replaceable. We're cheap labor from a billionaire in a sense because, you got a feeder program of college football and no other competition with you. So they're really not valued to that extent. But in these situations, this is where you kind of level the playing field and have that dynamic of, well, you're seeing Tua now go out there with that concussion and wow, it didn't matter when it was a special teamer until you start to say, all right, it's enough of that. Let's take away some of the kickoff stuff, right? Change some of the rules. Whereas now that it's a star quarterback, now it's like, all right, we got to do something. It looks too bad optically. But I still don't know if they're going to commit to it on that level when it's postseason, when it's an important player, an even bigger player, you know what I mean? And an even bigger game. Like, that's the part where you start to see them start to act a little different at times.
Sure.
Get off my soapbox now.
No. That was very interesting. I love that.
It's a little behind the scenes. That's the player side.
No. I love that.
Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped, the leaders in below the waistline grooming. Like we said, man, it's fresh ball season, baby. So you better make sure that your balls are freshly trimmed and cleaned with the Crop Reviver, the ball toner, the 2-in-1 body wash, the shampoo and conditioner, everything that you need for your personal hygiene care. Okay? Make sure that you're using that. Make sure that you're operating with that type of stuff because it makes you feel good. And when you feel good, you look good. When you look good, you play good. When you play good, everything is happening good. So with that being said, man, shout out to them. But more importantly, we stay with a promo code. And that promo code is MOATS. Use that. You get 20% off along with free shipping worldwide. So shout out to manscaped.com. And trust me when I tell you, your dangly twins and they friends, well, I'll be appreciative of you, baby, once you manscape it up.